Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. I'm just going to get right into it. We just witnessed one of the greatest nights in NBA playoff history, specifically the two-game doubleheader on TNT tonight between the Lakers and the Nuggets at the end of it, and the Sixers versus Knicks on the front half. It was amazing hoops, back and forth affairs, crazy, gritty physical performances, some crazy final moments, everything you could ask for in playoff hoops. The Cavs Magic game was cool too. We'll talk about that one later, but for majority of this video, I want to focus on those two games, which were both worthy of a video in their own right. Like, I was certain I was going to be making a video pretty much focusing on that Knicks-Sixers game before the Lakers-Nuggets one happened, and then after it happened, I was like, I have to split time between these two evenly. So let's go ahead and talk about them, and I think I want to start with Lakers versus Nuggets because it's a bit more recent in my head, and it had just ever so slightly the more insane ending. Now, I think it's important context to go into this to remember that the Lakers, before tonight, had lost 9 straight games to the Denver Nuggets. 9 of them. That includes last year getting swept in the playoffs, a game before that or two, and then this season series that they've played. They have not beaten the Nuggets in a while, and coming into this game, they needed to get off to a hot start like they did in game 1, except this time, try not to blow it. And they did get off to a hot start. Honestly, they might have had the perfect first half if they wanted to go ahead and steal a game in Denver. Anthony Davis, one of the best halves I've ever seen him play, regular season or playoffs, had 24 points on just one missed shot. He was 11 of 12 from the field, 6 boards, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. Played great defense on Jokic as well, who he was keeping the ball away from, wasn't letting him get any good looks, so he only shot 6 times for just 14 points. LeBron James was fantastic too, with 10 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists in that first half, 3 of 6 shooting. And maybe biggest of all, D'Lo was actually hitting his shots. He has been abysmal against the Nuggets in the last 5 games that they played in the playoffs going into last year, and then in game 1 he was awful, but started this game 6 of 7 from 3. He hit 6 threes in the first half. Jamal Murray, meanwhile, the Nuggets star point guard, was 2 of 10 going into halftime. It was not the start the Nuggets wanted, and the Lakers were up 15 points going into halftime. It was, again, the perfect first half. They could not have asked for anything better. Other than some turnover issues, they had full control of this game at the moment. And going to the third quarter, I mean, they built off it because in part of the third quarter, the Lakers went ahead and went up by 20 points. They had a 20-point lead just about halfway through the third quarter. It was seemingly commanding. They had led ever since the first few minutes of the game till here. They had built up not just a double-digit lead, but they were up 20. And it felt like that this might be the game where the Lakers finally go ahead and hold on against Denver. And then guess what the Denver Nuggets did? They did what they always do against the Lakers, where they might face a deficit, but it never really matters because immediately Jamal Murray started to get going a little bit. He didn't end up shooting great on the game, but he started to knock down some shots, some tough buckets, some middies. It felt like he was finding a bit of a rhythm. Michael Porter Jr. hit some big shots, and Nikola Jokic, in typical Jokic fashion, was unstoppable. Whether it was LeBron guarding him or AD or Rui Hachimura, it didn't matter who was defending him. Jokic was just abusing them with his elite footwork, his ability to just shoot right up and over anybody, his calm and collectedness in these big moments. Like, there was one play where he got his own offensive rebound after a miss, and it was like the most chill put-back shot for a huge momentum swing I've ever seen. But then the Lakers kept fighting back. They didn't roll over and die like we've seen them do against the Nuggets at some points. Specifically, LeBron James, in the final few minutes of this game, went insane. He hit 2 massive threes, had a crazy play where he went ahead and blocked Jamal Murray, I think stole the ball from him after he was trying to pass out of a jumper, ran full court, got a poster, and then immediately the Nuggets threw it back up, and Michael Porter Jr. hits this crazy contested 3. They're going back and forth, trading blows. It was incredible basketball. Like, these two teams have all this star power, all this talent, and last year, even though it was a sweep, we saw these hyper-competitive games, and through the first 2 games, that's exactly what we were seeing, and this one comes all the way down to the wire, and by the time there's about 30 seconds left, Jamal Murray hits a huge jumper to go ahead and tie the game up 99-99. The Lakers walked the ball down the court. LeBron James, whether it was because he pushed off or actually dropped Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, gets a wide open look at the 3. He'd been shooting so well from 3 this whole night. Really, he has been all season, and he misses it. It goes ahead and rims out. The Nuggets get the ball with a chance to go ahead and hit the final shot. And who other than Jamal Murray, playoff Jamal Murray, goes ahead and in a game where he ends up shooting 9 of 24 from the field, games them. Just ends it right over Anthony Davis, the outstretched arms. The Nuggets mob him in the corner. It's a scene very similar to the Kawhi Leonard shot, I feel like. And the Lakers, in a game they were up 20 points, go ahead and lose. It just feels at this point that before we go into a game where it's Lakers-Nuggets, the script is destined where the Lakers are going to have a good first half. They're going to look good. Like, maybe this is the one they actually steal from the Nuggets. Then Denver brings the game back, but the Lakers push at the end just for Denver to go ahead and just snatch their soul at the end. It was an insane shot, one of the craziest clutch buckets I've ever seen. Again, he was shooting 8 of 23 going into that bucket, but he's just one of those guys that always makes the big play when it matters most. Scored the last 6 points for the Nuggets, and they go ahead and win this one. It's a massive blow to the Lakers. Like, if they don't win this game, how do they beat this Nuggets team? A game where they're up 20, where Jamal Murray was really, really struggling, where Anthony Davis had one of the best halves of his career, where LeBron was really good. D'Lo was actually hitting threes. He went 7 of 11 in this game. How do you win? Like, what do you do against this squad? And this really goes for the entire NBA because Denver feels inevitable at this point. But, like, what do you do? Now, I will say Jokic was absolutely insane. 27 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, and 2 steals while shooting 9 of 16 from the floor. He was a juggernaut in this one. Michael Porter Jr. was great as well. 22 points, 9 rebounds. Aaron Gordon had 14 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists on 50% shooting. Christian Brown had some huge momentum plays in this game. Only finished with 10 points, but I feel like all of his buckets were very timely. KCP didn't shoot well, but he did a huge poster dunk that helped them kind of swing the momentum. It was an overall team effort and one that just crushes the Los Angeles Lakers. In fact, this is only the 3rd time ever that there was a buzzer-beating, game-winning shot in the NBA playoffs that came as a result of a team that was down 20 at some point during the game. This is only the 3rd time it's happened. It happened with Luka against, I think it was the Clippers in the bubble, and then Robert Horry did it in like 2002. There was a tweet I saw. I'll, of course, have it on the screen, but yeah, it doesn't happen often. This is a crushing blow. I don't know how the Lakers bounce back from this. Obviously, I'm sure they're going to keep it competitive because they're a good team with amazing all-time level talents, but this was the one. This was the one where the Lakers had to go ahead and steal this game. If they did, the series becomes pretty interesting going back to LA. You know, apparently there's Christian Wood who's on the verge of coming back. Jared Vanderbilt may be returning for game 3, and maybe one of them swings this a little bit, but it just felt like they had it in their grasp. It was right there. All they had to do was not choke and fall victim to the exact same formula that it feels like all the Lakers Nuggets games have gone for the past 2 years, and they let it happen again. This now marks 10 straight games where the Lakers have lost to the Nuggets. It's starting to feel a bit like that myth where you have Sisyphus who like pushes the boulder up the hill and he's forced to do it endlessly. It feels like that's this version of the Lakers just trying to find a way to beat these Nuggets. They just can't. We'll see how they respond, but for the moment, Denver escapes with an unbelievable victory and another signature playoff moment for Jamal Murray, who has a billion of them at this point. But of course, that was not the only insane game of the night, because right before that, we had Sixers versus Knicks, which was, like the first game, a barn burner. It was an incredible back and forth affair with some ridiculous performances from the Sixers side. Both Embiid and Maxey were questionable coming into this game. Embiid, of course, continuously dealing with that knee injury, and Maxey apparently was really under the weather. People are calling this his flu game, and they went out there and dominated the first half. The reason the Sixers were in this was because of those two. First half, Embiid has 16, 10, and 3, and Tyrese Maxey, 7 of 11, shooting for 20 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. Batum was pretty solid. Tobias Harris played some decent basketball, better than he has in the past, and it led them to having a lead at halftime. But the Knicks were right there. They were only down 4. And it's crazy because they were that close despite Jalen Brunson shooting 4-14. Like in game 1, just did not have a shot in this one. The Sixers have done a really good job of throwing a bunch of pressure at him, but even just the open looks, the shots that he typically knocks down, haven't been going in. But fortunately for him, Josh Hart has turned into Steph Curry. In the first half of this game, knocks down 4 threes, 4 or 5. For a guy who shot like 31% roughly on the season, he was shooting pull-up threes as well. I don't know if I've ever seen in my entire life Josh Hart shoot a pull-up 3. Maybe he has. I can't remember one, at least not one where his legs were kind of like kicking out. He was in transition. It looked ugly, and even Josh Hart looked surprised that it went down. He was crazy, kept them in this game with a team-high 19 points in that first half to make it a very small deficit going into the second. Then in the third quarter, the Knicks took control of this game. They went ahead and took a lead with Jalen Brunson, again, still really struggling, 2 of 7 in the third quarter, but Isaiah Hartenstein, 5 of 5 from the field for 10 points, 5 boards, 2 blocks. We want to talk about guys that are going to get a bag this offseason. Hart is one of those players. Donte Divincenzo, 2 of 3 from the field for 7 points, 4 from OG Anunoby, some great defense overall as a team. The Knicks went ahead and got right back in this one and took a lead. It was one of their first leads in a long time. I'm pretty sure their first lead of the game came in this third quarter. They went ahead and pushed it up to 8 by midway through the fourth, and then the Sixers, like they have tried to do in the past, stormed right back. Joel Embiid was trying to do his best, but he was clearly really hobbled. That knee is completely hindering his movement, his verticality. He had a huge and one shot over the course of the last 8 minutes or so that was big, but didn't do much else. He just didn't really have it in him. So someone else had to step up, and it was the guy that stepped up all season in Tyrese Maxey, who has very quickly over the course of his career become one of my favorite players in the NBA, and he showed exactly why in this stretch. using his elite speed, his ability to just finish through ridiculous contact and around basically anybody, his long-range shooting, hitting a massive three with about 1:09 left to give the Sixers a 4-point lead, their biggest in a long time. Maxey is a special talent. He was incredible and scored 11 out of the Sixers' last 18 points. And with that, after Kyle Lowry knocked down a free throw, the Sixers went up 5 points with 47 seconds left. It felt like it was inevitable that they were going to go ahead and close this one out, stealing one on the road, and what would be a massive swing of momentum for the series. Going back to Philly tied 1-1 is so much easier to stomach if you're a Sixers fan than going back down 0-2. But the Knicks don't give up. This is a team that all season has had resilience, has had this never say die mentality, this grittiness, this toughness, which I feel like a lot of it comes from Tom Thibodeau, but also Jalen Brunson, who was just flat out bad in this game. He shot horrifically. He has in the first 2 games of the series. He was trying to continue knocking down the shots that he typically does, wasn't shying away from the moment, and with 27 seconds left, made a ridiculous sidestep 3 with a hand in his face. It bounced once off the rim and went in. It was a massive shot. And then the Sixers try to inbound the ball. Maxey gets stuck in the corner, ends up losing it. The Knicks get the ball. Donte Divincenzo misses a 3, but then Isaiah Hartenstein goes ahead, grabs the rebound, kicks it back out to Divincenzo, or I think it was OG that did that, and then Donte hits a 3 to go ahead and put the Knicks up 1 point with 13 seconds left. The Garden erupts. Ridiculous sequence. Everybody was like, what just happened? And there was some controversy surrounding this, like, it seems like Nick Nurse was trying to call a timeout. I, in the moment, thought Maxey very clearly got fouled. There was a later angle where I wasn't quite sure, but then a new angle where it looks like his jersey got grabbed. There was a lot going on. We'll have to see what happens with the last 2 minutes report and stuff, but ultimately, the Knicks, regardless, had a 1-point lead. But the Sixers still have a chance to go ahead and win the game. They have the time for the last shot. They go ahead and get it to Maxey, who gets a screen, gets by OG Anunoby, full steam ahead. Feels like he's going to get to the basket, one of the quickest players in the league, and Isaiah Hartenstein blocks the shot. I don't know how he got a hand on it to block that. It was absurd. Again, a reason why he's going to be paid a ton of money this offseason. Knicks get the rebound, get fouled, go ahead and knock down a couple of free throws. Embiid does have a look to go ahead and try and tie the game, send it to OT, but misses from 3. And the Knicks somehow escape, grab victory from the jaws of defeat, and win this game 104-101, going up 2-0 in the series. Like with the Lakers, it's a heartbreaker for the Sixers. This is one they had to have. They had it. It was in their clutches, and it just barely slipped away. And you can talk about whether that was because of the refs or their own mistakes, but regardless, they do go down 0-2, and now going back to Philly, where Embiid is still pretty banged up. You had a great game from Maxey, and again, you held Jalen Brunson completely in check. Outside of that big shot he had, not a lot going on. He finished 8 of 29 from the floor for just 24 points. You can't ask for much better going up against Jalen Brunson, and he shot terribly in game 1 too. Like, these were great opportunities, and maybe you can continue to shut him down, but imagine he's going to find a shot at some point. It was just a heartbreaker, because if, say, you kept him locked up, at the very least going into Philly, you might hope that, hey, maybe the role players take a bit of a step back, like Josh Hart won't be putting up 21 and 15, knocking down 4 threes, like maybe Donte Divincenzo will chill out a little bit. But now, if they have even one of those crazy games, you can leave Philly going down 3-1, and at that point, how do you come back? It's a legitimate backbreaker. Joel Embiid was really mad after the loss, talking about how he still thinks they're going to win the series. They're the better team, but it was clearly crushing for the Sixers. My brother's a Sixers fan. He texted me, like, defeated, tweet out that this almost felt like another Kawhi Leonard situation. Obviously not quite the same magnitude, but just in how the Sixers have constantly been victim to these heart-wrenching losses. And meanwhile, for the Knicks, this is a statement win. This is an example of exactly what they've been doing all season, grinding out these gritty wins regardless of injuries, not having Julius Randle in this series, Jalen Brunson struggling, but still making the big buckets when it matters, the role players stepping up. They've done such a good job of building out the supporting cast, whether it was signing Isaiah Hartenstein, signing Josh Hart, or trading for him rather. OG Anunoby, that pickup midway through the season was huge. He played some great defense. The signing of Donte DiVincenzo, they've just made the right move, it feels like, at every organizational turn as of late, and it's resulted in them being 2-0 in this series, again, without Julius Randle even in the lineup, who they really could have used at moments in this game for some of his shot creation, because the offense went completely stagnant. Shout out to Tobias Harris, actually, who was playing some amazing defense on Brunson, but obviously just wasn't enough to get them a win. So the night ends with not one, but 2 instant classic games that in most years would be top-tier contenders for game of the postseason as a whole, and in this one, they happen on the same night, just 3 days into the playoffs. We aren't even into game 2 for 5 of the series yet, and we already got these 2 amazing games. Thunder versus Pelicans was a classic as well. Some other great games. So many great series that we could potentially see down the line depending on how the matchup shake out. It's just going to be an incredible playoffs. I said in my playoff predictions video, this could go down as the greatest playoffs of all time. And it's got that energy, that buzz to it. The competition is fierce. The parity is there. The basketball has been really ugly at times. It's very physical, but it's been super entertaining. I've loved every moment of it so far. I am addicted to playoff basketball. So that also includes the Cavaliers versus Magic game, which I'll talk about quickly here because I'm sure not a lot of you clicked on the video to hear about that. But it was still a fun game. You know, it was another really low scoring affair with the Magic being unable to hit 90 points. Their offense is just abysmal. Like, Paolo did his best, putting up 21 points, 9 of 20 shooting. That was the best effort they were going to get from basically anybody. Again, shot like 27% from three. Franz Wagner was not great in this one, 5 of 17 shooting. Meanwhile, for the Cavaliers, again, Donovan Mitchell was their top option, 23 points. Didn't shoot great, 9 of 22, but Jared Allen, 16 points, 20 boards, 17 from Evan Mobley, who's been really good to start these playoffs. Garland had 15 points, big threes towards the end of this game when the Magic were trying to claw back, but he just refused to let them. The Cavs are just a better team. Like, the Magic are really fun. Their defense, I think, could maybe still steal them like a game in this series, but ultimately Cleveland is just better, and the Magic don't have enough firepower to keep up with them or score against that great Cleveland defense in their own right. So as much as I thought this would be kind of a competitive series, the more that I watch this, I think the Cavs are going to win this one in 4 or 5, just because the Magic don't really have that offensive punch that really any other team in the playoffs has. But yeah, with all that being said, those are my thoughts on these insane games. Let me know down below in the comments what your takeaways were, what your thoughts were, which of the two was your favorite, or hey, maybe you're a basketball sicko and you loved Cavs versus Magic the best. Would love to hear your opinions on that. As always, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. A lot more playoff content upcoming basically every single night, so you don't want to miss out on that. And yeah, I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one, safe back.